preparation means anything and everything you can prepare, down to your meals. So what are you going to have for breakfast? What are you going to have for lunch? There is a lot of time that is absorbed in trying to figure these things out. And when we can prepare, we can reduce the stress.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hello, listener. It is your host, Lara Jane, and I am here with a new best friend. And I am so excited to talk to Danielle because stress is just no fun. And there are so many ways to work with stress or to remove or prevent stress. So the cool thing about Danielle's message is it's prevention. And so he's going to talk to us about time management and consistency and how that can help us reduce our stressful life. So Danielle, all of the information on it for our listener to get a hold of you is in the show notes. So let's just jump right into it and start talking about how we can prevent some of the stress in our life.
Awesome, Lara Jane. Thank you so much for having me. This is a topic I absolutely am very passionate about because when I talk to, anyone, but clients, colleagues, friends, everybody's stressed out. And the thing about stress is there's a secret. It's all self-induced. So it's not really a secret. But so when we talk about stress, what I like to talk about is time management, preparation, and consistency, because all of these things go into reducing stress. And some of them, I know I get a lot of pushback. I was reading an article the other day about how time blocking doesn't work. And it crawled all over me as a time management expert. It just crawled all over me. And I had to stop and I had to think, you know what? They might be right. Because if we don't know how long a task takes, how are we going to put it on our calendar? If we've never looked at, could I get all of these things on my calendar? Does it all fit? So from the time management piece, it reduces stress because you can look and see, does it all fit in a day? All the things that I want to do, does it fit? Because when we think of our tasks in the concept of a day, we tend to overestimate what we can get done.
Mhm.
And then we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it all done. I didn't get it all done.
And then you beat yourself up.
Then you beat yourself up, right? I can't be successful. Time blocking doesn't work. None of this stuff works. And it does, but we need to know how long things take. Or add buffer time. Buffer time's a big one. Do you have buffer time in your calendar?
Yes, always.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think in this wonderfully interconnected world via the Zooms and via the video calls and all the fun things that we can do, that connects all of us. When you look at your own calendar, you're like, I can totally take that 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. Yeah. I just turn off the Zoom on the Zoom.
Mm-mm.
No.
That is very stressful. And I agree. I have been there where out of necessity, you booked back-to-back meetings without the breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't have the reflection time after, I kind of get all the meetings mixed up and my brain doesn't have that succinct. And then I'm stressed because I can't remember what we talked about. And so if I don't, I had to learn that. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 something years. So yeah, maybe initially I didn't, but that buffer time of I have to have at least 30 minutes ahead and at least 30 minutes after every meeting. And that made a world of difference for me. Now, not always possible. I agree. You cannot always do it because the CEO is only available at this time.
Sure.
So there are times you don't get to have that buffer, but we can make it work.
Mm-hmm. That's an example of how time management can reduce stress. If you do nothing else, make sure there's space. There's space to go to the bathroom, get a drink of water. There's space. And that's what I love about the time management piece of reducing stress is doesn't have to look like time blocking if people struggle with time blocking. So I work a lot with the ADD, ADHD brain, and they struggle a lot. So some of those tactics don't always work. And that's what I love is to figure out what works. But preparation, that's the other key to reducing stress is preparing everything, everything. Preparation reduces stress and it decreases decision making.
Can you go into more detail on what you mean by preparation? Because
Mhm.
I'm a little, is that just making sure my agenda's together, or is that making, what is that preparation process?
Sure. So I like to say prepare everything, everything. Your coffee, your clothing, your jewelry, your shoes, your socks. In the event you leave the house to go somewhere, prepare a staging area so everything is in that staging area you need to leave. I don't know about you, but when I get up in the morning, I don't want to have to think. So I prepare everything the night before so that I can run right out the door with all the things that I need. So it could be your documents, your computer, whatever it is that you need, or if you work from home, because there are people who do that, preparing your desk. If you need those papers, or if you need that book, or if you need something in your office, put it there before you get there. And that also helps with time management because you're not getting back up and running around and grabbing things when you are supposed to be working or when you've
Yes.
scheduled yourself to work. So for me, preparation means anything and everything you can prepare down to your meals. So what are you going to have for breakfast? What are you going to have for lunch? There is a lot of time that is absorbed in trying to figure these things out. What am I going to have for breakfast in the morning? Or what am I going to have for lunch? And when we can prepare, we can reduce the stress. Okay, decision making. Let's talk about decision making really quickly. So, preparation reduces decision making because decisions can be hard. And throughout the day, we make a ton of decisions. Do you have any idea, Laura Jane, how many decisions you make in a
Millions,
day?
million, everything I do. What I just chose to say was a decision. So,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And let me talk a little bit. You were talking about preparing your clothing and preparing the items like that. It's like, I made it like, now his name, Albert Einstein, was the guy that wore the same outfit, the same thing every day because he didn't want to be bothered with that decision process. So, decision over. So I'm a very emotional person and I dress how I feel. And
Mm-hmm.
I made it simple. I always, 99% of the time, wear black pants. And then when I hang up my laundry, I hang it up in outfits. So I might have 10 of these blue jackets. Actually, I probably only have three, but I do have 10 black ones. And the whole outfit, along with the jewelry that went on it, is on the hanger. So in the morning, I can choose a color, but I don't have to choose all of the pieces. And I know not everybody can do that. But for me, raising three kids and being an executive in a corporate environment, I had to be quick. I had to be able to take the
Mm-hmm.
time for the kids to be ready in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and not worry about me. And so you kind of have that balance. And I know everybody's different. So I love the preparation. And I'm also somebody who loves to do food prep. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
spend 4 hours on the weekend so that I only spend 30 minutes at night instead of
Right.
hours trying to decide, what shall we have? Because if I do that, McDonald's is coming home or Taco
Right.
Time or something that isn't really that nutritious. So
Right.
even you talk about the decision-making process, it doesn't take away the decision process, but it puts it at a time when you can make it not
Mm-hmm.
stressful. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, I have 10 minutes to get out the door and what in the heck am I going to wear? I slept in. What do I do? That decision was made over the weekend when you were doing your laundry. And so you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to take the time now. So I love that it takes away that immediate, I got to be out the door decision, but you still get to make those decisions. It doesn't take away everything. So we still are free to make those
Right.
choices.
Right. And I love that. I love that you get to pick that color and choose that emotion for the day. I think that's really cool. I am similar and different. I will wear whatever I put together. And so I remember one time I went to this business meeting and I looked like I was about to walk in. I looked down and I'm like, this is the ugliest outfit I have ever worn. And I'm committed to wearing it. Like,
I
I
love
knew
it.
it was ugly when I walked out the door, but I was not going to change my mind. I had prepared it. We were just going to do it. I mean, who's going to notice? And nobody noticed or nobody said anything. They were at least nice, but it was so ugly.
I used to travel a lot, and this is probably just a girl thing. Okay, I'm generalizing, but I picked my outfits, and I've always been very okay with flamboyant, bold
Mhm.
statements. And I had this beautiful, bright orange jacket that I used to wear. I went into this conference room that I clashed with so bad. I'm like, oh, I think I need to be less bold when I'm traveling. You don't know what you're getting into.
Green carpet.
Oh, I'm sitting there in these chairs, and the chairs were some fuchsia-y color, and it just looked so funny. Anyway, I know that is not important, but it's funny, and I love that you just go with it.
Yes.
You know what? Nobody expects you to match the conference room. Nobody expects you to always be in an elegant outfit. And so I love that you just went with it.
We're doing this. I don't wear brown pants anymore. I will tell you, I have a hard time figuring out what goes with brown. So I just don't wear brown pants anymore. That was the issue with that outfit.
I have one pair of brown pants because I have to switch it up once in a while, but I prefer black because it
Me
just
too.
does everything. And navy blue. It's pretty good
Hmm.
too.
Hmm. Well, and I think the preparation conversation, it reduces stress because stress, like we just said, can be a very slippery slope. When let's say you don't prepare things
Hmm.
and you get up whenever you get up, and maybe it's not when your alarm goes off. And you go in and you realize you need coffee and you make the coffee and then you realize you need this and you realize you haven't done this and you realize you haven't done this and you're go, 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 go. And then you get to your first meeting, you've got two different color socks on. The thing that you needed for your important presentation is nowhere near you. It might be sitting on the kitchen table, maybe, but you're really not sure. And so that slope, it just tends to compound, right? The stress just tends to compound over and over, and things just keep going wrong. And that's why I love preparation in the form of reducing stress, because that preparation reduces the opportunity for things to compound and continue to go wrong.
I love that in the fact that our stress multiplies as you're unprepared. So that one decision that you made on the weekend or the night before when you were picking that outfit,
Hmm.
if you hadn't have done that, you would have had the compounding stress
Hmm.
that day of, oh, how do I do it? How do I get this? How do I get it all done? Because we try to do all the big things all at one time. And I bet you that's a little bit into all the stuff that you've talked about with that preparation. And now you've got the consistency part.
Hmm.
So I think we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to just kind of wrap in that consistency of how can the consistency of doing these things reduce our stress. So we'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Lara Jane Coaching. You know you're ready to silence your inner bully voice. Let Lara Jane support you with coaching. To schedule an introduction call, go to larajanelayton.com.
We are back. And I am so excited, Danielle, to talk about consistency because I can get these great ideas and I can do them for 2 to 3 days. And then they kind of fade away because I fall back into my own patterns. So, how can I improve my consistency?
Right. Well, definitely consistency in these two things, as in the framing of reducing stress with your time management and your preparation, creating those spaces to be consistent. So, creating a time, either one day a week or each night, to be consistent in preparing, even if that's the only time management activity you do and you want to let your day flow, create 30 minutes a night to prepare your tomorrow consistently to be able to reduce that stress. Because when we have consistency in our time management and in our preparation, it allows us to trust ourselves again. So if we think about when you forget things and you get mad at yourself, and then you say the things like, I can't remember anything. I need more discipline. You want to talk about pet peeve? Discipline. I need more discipline. That is a pet peeve of mine. We don't have time to talk about it today, but you and I can talk about it later. And I need more discipline, or why do I even try? And then that negative self-talk spirals and into that inner bully, as you call it, Laura Jane. And then you've worked yourself up. And when we can think about just being consistent in taking the time to prepare ourselves, we can trust that we can make these decisions again, that our actions are good for us. And when we are trying to get ourselves ready and potentially other people in our house, children, spouses, can't find the left shoe and where's that one
Or their
sock?
glasses.
Right? What am I having for lunch today? All of those things can be taken care of because you have trusted yourself and your decisions, even if the outfit might be ugly. You know, you made that decision. And one of the things that consistency helps with is it reduces decision fatigue. So decision fatigue is the idea that you make so many decisions that making more decisions, your ability to make decisions is impeded by all the ones that you just did. And it's the easiest thing I can explain it is when you had a long day and someone in your household says, "What's for dinner?" And you say, "I don't know."
When you mentioned it, the first thing that came to my mind was dinners. Like, I have no idea.
I have made all of these decisions all throughout the day. So, a American Medical Association journal, there's a psychiatrist in it, Dr. McLean, said that by the time the average person goes to bed, you make, are you ready? Over 35,000 decisions a day,
I believe them, if not more.
if
I
not
can
more,
honestly
on
think it
average.
could be more.
On average. You know how averages work, right? Average is an average. And so all of those decisions take time, take energy. They deplete us if we make the time prior to and prepare prior to. We're reducing the amount of decisions in our day. And maybe, just maybe, we can answer the question, what's for dinner? Right? What's for dinner? And it seems so silly, but I actually do see these pictures and memes on Facebook, and it crawls all over me again when people are like, my spouse can't make a decision, don't know where to eat. If only I knew, this was my favorite. If only I knew that adulting would be trying to figure out what was for dinner every night. It's so much deeper than that. And we're not giving ourselves enough credit, I don't think, for the amount of decisions that we do make. And like you even talked about how if we don't prepare, let's say you haven't spent the time on the weekends and you're not preparing dinner and that decision of what's for dinner comes up and you're headed through the drive-through and you committed to yourself that you were going to eat healthy or that you weren't going to be that drive-through family. And then what happens? And you do that and then that negative self-talk happens again. And so being consistent in just taking the time to prepare really, really, really helps reduce a lot of stress, but also reducing that negative self-talk. And, what you talk about is so important, Laura Jane, with that inner bully and really learning how to, I don't know how you put it, but I say squash it,
I
right?
turn it into my best friend.
We're not going
And
to
I
own
quit.
it, right?
I start acting like I'm kind, like I would talk to you. I wouldn't say, "Oh my gosh, Danielle, you look so ugly in those brown pants. How did you pick that outfit?" But we think it in our heads. We think it
Right.
over and over
Right.
every second for the 8 or 10 hours you were at the office. The
Right.
whole day you felt ugly. What would your friends say to you? "Danielle, you look great. Nobody's gonna think that's ugly."
Right.
That's what I want us to do in our heads is
Yeah.
come up with it. How would we tell somebody else?
Yeah.
And I like that. I was just reading something, I think it was a Facebook meme. I'm not positive, but it said 99% of your problems are in your head.
Mm,
and 1% are from the external influence.
mhm,
And it's because someone will say, "You got something in your hair."
mhm.
And then the rest of the day, we're like, "Is that thing still in my
Right,
hair?" Is
right.
we replay it and we
Mhm,
replay it and second guess ourselves, and it doesn't matter.
mhm. It doesn't. And they forgot about it, right?
They
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 forgot
don't
about it.
care. And they were
And I
being
love that.
helpful.
I love making your inner bully your best friend. And because that is that part of you that is those tapes or those reels that are being played in your head and making it all good and positive is awesome. And so I think that's where consistency helps because if you're consistent and taking the time to prepare,
Yes.
you can get used to it. Preparing things, thinking ahead is in and of itself a new habit. And when we create new habits, we have to stop old habits.
We replace the
Replace.
old habits with the new
Thank you.
ones.
We
Because
replace.
I think in my head, it's kind of scary to let go or to stop
Mm,
something. But as long as I know that I've adjusted it, that I'm not whole, I'm still whole. I didn't lose something in the process of
mhm,
making this new habit. So I think so many of us feel empty when we are losing the old habit. So I was
mhm.
like, oh my God. Okay, I'm making this up. Well, probably nobody would ever really say this, but I got ready in 10 minutes. How'd I do that? I really miss having 30 minutes to get ready in the morning.
Right. I miss back when it took me forever to get
It's
ready.
right. But it's that kind of a thought process where we all of a
Mhm,
sudden acknowledge that this is better
mhm,
and is supporting me and it's giving me time to trip down the hallway or to pick something up that got left. It's giving you more time as you take advantage of the pre-planning and are
mhm.
prepared because that's a lot easier to do once or at night when you're not in a hurry. Like,
Right.
who have you ever said like, "Oh, bedtime's at night. I gotta go. Gotta hurry, gotta hurry. Oh, wait, I didn't get my
Right.
jammies out. What am I gonna do?" Has
Yeah.
anybody ever said that? No, because
Not that I know.
going to bedtime is flexible. It's
Right.
when we are ready. And if you take that time ahead, you prevent that, oh crap, I got to be to work by 8. I've got to hurry. I've got to hurry. You
Mhm,
take that out of the process and you
mhm,
put it in this flexible time frame, which takes away that stress.
mhm,
So I love the being prepared. I love
mhm,
I love to time box because
mhm,
sometimes your brain just needs a break. And if you can only do this for an hour, do it for an hour and come back later. Give yourself time. Have that cushion that you talked
mhm.
about of making sure that you're not so back to back that you have to cut off a meeting. Oh, wait, Mr. CEO, you can't talk anymore. Meeting's over. We got to go to the next meeting.
Right.
I don't think anybody's going to do that. But I've heard a lot of people say, oh, my last meeting went over and my other meeting. So I just keep getting more and more behind
Right.
all day long because they've stacked it too full.
Mhm,
So it's both. And cutting off a CEO, very stressful.
mhm,
Had to do it.
mm.
Sorry, we're done. But it's not depending on your CEO, is going to
Right.
depend on how that goes over. Some of them are going to be very annoyed and some of them are going to be very respectful of everybody else's time.
Right.
So, but no,
Right.
I love all the things you brought up. And one of the things that we first started talking about was that time boxing and getting
Mhm,
your priorities in order. And it made me remember that it was probably Franklin Covey, I don't know, that did the boxes and do your ABCs on prioritizing your time
mhm,
management. And he had that cylinder and he took all of his number one priorities that were baseball size and put them in. And then he took all of his number two priorities that were golf ball size and put those in and made sure that those really important things were in your day.
mhm,
And the way we started talking out was prioritizing and managing it. And I'm a firm believer that if you get the number one things into your time, and
mhm,
that's you time, that's personal time, that's
mhm.
planning time, that's all those really important things to make sure your stress is reduced. That as you do that, the others fall in place. Oh, I didn't get that out. Oh, but it's not due for a month. Hey, it was a priority 3 for a reason. It
Right.
didn't have to be done today, but you get through your day with that very accomplished feeling because none of the big things didn't get done. And so I love the message that you're sharing.
Thank you. And prioritization is huge. And that, I think, in and of itself is its own
Whole podcast.
special conversation because it's so different. It's so different for every single person. And when you work with individuals as you do, sometimes it's very personal in that prioritization method. And that definitely goes into here too, because once we manage our time and prepare consistently, what do we do first? And so it definitely
The
goes
fun ones, obviously,
yes.
as long
Well,
as they're your number one priority.
right. Well, I talked to a lady recently. I made up a new prioritization technique for this lady and I loved it. And it was income producing and what makes you feel good. So now we alternate those. So she does an income producing activity, something that makes her feel good, income producing activity, something that makes her feel good.
Wow, I love it.
Yes.
So eventually, I bet you some of those income producing things are going to feel good
Feel good
because
too.
there is a reward with them.
Yes.
But if you are getting stuck on that one sidedness, what a great way to do it is alternate, making sure that both sides of your brain are fulfilled.
Yeah. And that's what's fun about all of this to me. I'm a geek. I nerd out on different time management techniques, different things to prepare, different plans. Like I just geek out because I love waking up in a world where I can help you and I can help you in a way that actually helps you, not because it has $1 billion in book sales and it helped other people.
I am so with you because there are so many people that are like, do group coaching, and group coaching is great. I
Sure.
think that it is absolutely a great add to a one-on-one coaching process. But could you have come up with this amazing alternating priority in a group session without really being one-on-one with somebody? And you were able to tune into their needs and where their frustration was and come up with a simple solution. And that's where I think some of the, well, this works for everybody else, so it's going to work for you, doesn't happen.
Part of this whole journey, I think, of reducing stress, period, or time blocking, or preparation, or consistency, or whatever the conversation is about, part of it, most of it, is figuring out what works for you.
And I think that self-reflection of when you can think about the things I did today, how did they make me feel? The things that happened, the responses to what I did today, how did those make me feel? If they were bad, how do I prevent that response? And you go through that self-reflection and you can better prepare tomorrow because now you have more information on what makes things work. And same with your time blocking thing is, wow, this took 2 hours. Next time I'm going to block more time. You don't have all the answers. If we did, how boring would life be? I need those decisions. Come on.
Right? I've got this down. But I just like to imagine, I want you to imagine a day where you felt good in the evening. You know, you feel accomplished, you feel happy, you feel calm instead of falling into the evening going, oh, and so for me, it's wanting to just feel good in the evenings, feel accomplished, and not have that stress carry over into my evenings. And that's really where I feel that consistently managing your time, preparing everything is so important because those things are going to be necessary to get you there so that you're not falling into the evening going, I don't know what's for dinner. I don't know what I'm doing. And oh my gosh, I just had such a bad day.
Or you get home and like, nobody talked to me for an hour. I got
need
to
that deep fry.
decompress.
Mm-hmm.
Dinner, what's that?
Like, you're grown. You know how to make a sandwich. You know what cereal is.
Yes, it is amazing. Cereal is one of the evils that we have It's so simple, but so not healthy. Okay, some are. Yes.
I have the only cereal in my house I feel is healthy, and I personally had a cereal dinner.
Yay. Doesn't that feel great to
It
be
does.
okay with simplicity? Like, it
Mhm,
was like, I want scrambled eggs for dinner. That's simple and it's healthy, and I'm just doing this. So making life not have to be so complex. I think I was raised, and we're overtime, so we're going to be fast at this one. At dinner meant you had all these different food groups on the table, and it was elaborate. And my mother did this 7 days a week, and it was
mm,
full meals. Thank God we are not in that same society anymore, and that simplicity is okay. And there's one diet out there that talks about mono meals, and a mono meal digests through your system easier. And that means one macro. So not one thing, but proteins, no
mm,
vegetables, no proteins. So keeping it where you can, your gut buddies can focus on the one and not all of them. So sometimes in our time management, we have
mhm,
to do that where you like your friend. I'm going to do something time. I'm going to do something for me. Going to do
mhm,
something income producing, something not. And so it's learning how to best digest our day through
mhm,
that self reflection, that planning, that consistency, and making sure that we are managing our time to the best of where we're at. And so I love everything that you've brought to the table. I would love to hear that last bit of wisdom that you can share with our listener to take with them throughout the rest of their life.
mm. Consistency is the key to everything. And whether it's time management, preparation, prioritization, being consistent in a task or two, though that's where the key to that success that you're looking for is. It's not blocking every meeting back to back to back. It's not filling your calendar, being as busy as possible. It's staying consistent on 1 to 2 meaningful things. And that's where that success really sits.
Yeah. And I love that consistency with the meaningful things.
Mhm,
If you're focused on nutrition, you're going to pick those things that are important. If you're focused on productivity, you're going to pick those
mhm,
important things and be consistent in them. If it's raising children or if it's having a good relationship with a significant other, it's what are those 2 or 3 things that I can be consistent at to make sure that they improve. So I love that. So thank you, Danielle, for your time. Thank you for coming on. I'm sure that taking these little things that can make a huge impact in your life are going to be great for our listener. And listener, please stay tuned for the next episode. I'm sure it's going to be just as entertaining and fascinating as Danielle and I. And then also, Danielle and I are not medical or mental professionals. We are here for entertainment purposes, people that have been out in the world and learned ways to make it through to the best of our abilities. The full disclosure is in the show notes. Talk to you in the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.